معنا الآن من فلوريدا سانديب شرما رئيس قسم الاستثمار في سنتكس كابيتال. أهلا بك سانديب معنا في آخر يوم ل 2025. سانديب، يعني العام الحالي مررنا بالكثير، فقاعة تخوف الأسواق فيها الذكاء الاصطناعي، حروب تجارية، حروب فعلية، توترات كثيرة. مع ذلك الرابح الأكبر كان من يشتري التراجعات. هل ترى 2026 مشابه ل 2025 أم قد تختلف قواعد اللعبة؟
Always, thank you for having me on your show. And yes, 2025 has been quite an interesting year. And let's take some perspective from the beginning of 2019 to now. The S&P has gone up almost 194%, roughly about more than almost 16% annualized return. And that includes a very difficult year, 2022, where it lost around 18 or 19%. So let's keep perspective that it's been constructive to be positive about the market and not get too panicky. Having said that, we certainly agree that there is a bubble in valuation, especially relating to large cap and technology companies and relating to the AI and quantum computing type of environment. However, I think the outlook going forward remains constructive. There are many areas that are still very attractively valued. And I think despite the possibility of a correction in the market in the coming year, I think one should remain constructive and look for opportunities that are still undervalued.
سانديب، يعني كنت أراقب تحركات صناديق الاستثمار في الفترة الأخيرة، ورأينا تخارجات بأكثر من تريليون دولار تقريبا من الصناديق الأكتف، بينما حوالي 600 إلى 800 مليار دولار ذهبت إلى الباسيف ETFs، هذه الصناديق الخاملة. والسبب يعود إلى أن الاستثمار الأكتف اليوم لم يعد بالإيرادات التي عاد بها الاستثمار الخامل، وهذا لا يحدث فقط خلال هذا العام الماضي والذي سبقه كذلك الأمر. طيب، لماذا الأمور قد تختلف هذه المرة؟
Well, that is a very good observation. I think a lot of active strategies have significantly underperformed passive ones. However, when you look even within the passive ones and you look at strategies which are quantitative, I'm talking about quantitative ETFs which are based on factor analysis like value factor, and they have performed fantastically well. So that is one version of combining the active and the passive, that the drivers of return in 2025 have shifted a little bit. They are still predominantly the top 15 companies, but there are many other companies that have significantly outperformed, being very undervalued. Those could be very beaten down stocks like Intel, for example, which was left alone and has recovered fantastically. So those kinds of underlying active ETFs, I would call them, because they're based on quantitative analysis, have done really, really well and far better than the market. So I think we need to, again, as we look for the active strategies in 2026, we have to look away from the main drivers of the market for the past 3 or 4 years and look for other areas, for example, healthcare and energy, which have been left behind significantly, as well as move down in market capitalization to mid cap and small cap that have not returned very well. I would also hasten to add, minimum volatility strategies that have not done well could be very well positioned for a more volatile year like 2026.
طيب، يعني حديث التقييمات ربما كان الحديث الأبرز خلال عام 2025، ولكن دعني أسألك سانديب، اليوم يعني شاهدنا كيف كان أداء الذهب كيف كان بعض أداء الريتس في العقارات البرايفت إكويتي. اليوم إذا سألتك لمستثمر عادي يريد أن يكون لديه انكشاف على الاستثمارات البديلة على الآلتس، ما الذي تراه اليوم في هذه الاستثمارات ل 2026؟ أين ترى الفرص في هذه الاستثمارات؟ هل الذهب لازال مغري ليكون في البورتفوليو؟
Well, gold has done exceedingly well, and if you go back to our exchanges earlier on in the year, we had talked about getting exposure to hard assets, including gold and copper related assets. And between gold and copper, I would say copper still remains very, very attractively valued, has significant opportunities just based on fundamentals. If there is going to be an AI boom, there is going to be a data boom. I think we need more energy, more power, and we need better power grid. So copper remains a very favorite area of ours, which one can invest by looking at copper mining companies, and they should carry on the return that they got this year. Gold, I think, is kind of getting a little bit long in the tooth, and gold miners similarly are getting a little bit long in the tooth. So I think that's going to settle down a little bit. But by copper and copper-related investments certainly look very attractive to us.
وأشكرك سنديب شرما رئيس قسم الاستثمار في سنتكس كابيتال، وكل عام وأنت بخير.
Thank you for having me on your show, and Happy New Year to you and your viewers.